All right, good morning. It is, what time? It's approximately 10:49. It is Tuesday morning, April 21. I am teaching in my classroom to completely empty chairs, so this is going to be really weird, trying to do this kind of thing without you guys being here. But I'm going to try to do the best I can. I'm here in my classroom. You can kind of see my back on my whiteboard. Hopefully you guys can be able to see this and hopefully be able to hear me. I'll do a test run on this and then see how it goes. But wanted to review specifically for some chemistry stuff, kind of where we were when we left, and getting you where we need to go by the end of the year, which is hopefully to get through the rest of chapter 8 is kind of my goal. All right, so let me just see how that worked. Okay, so here's what I want to try to get through today. There's 3 things I want to try to review. I'm going to write them up on the board so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so see my spacing here. So 1, I want to be able to go from moles to grams and grams to moles. Okay, that's one thing. Then we have to go from moles to atoms. And then back from atoms to moles. Okay. The last one is to put the 2 together. Because if you guys remember the example I gave you, it's kind of like driving from Michigan to Kentucky. You've got to go through Ohio, right? And moles is Ohio. You can't go from Michigan straight to Kentucky. You can't go from Kentucky to Michigan without going through Ohio. So that's moles. So we can't go straight from grams to atoms without going through moles. So the third one is going to be to go from atoms to moles to grams and then backwards. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to get done. I'm going to see if I can remember how to do those. I'll be putting some things up in Schoology for you, like flow charts and things like that, that'll help you figure out which way you got to go and what comes next, what piece comes after what. Okay, so that is what I'm going to try to do. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, moles to grams, grams to moles. I'll try to make sure that you guys have a copy of one of these. I'll scan one and put it in the Schoology folder. There should be one. You can always find one online of a periodic table. Just remember, when you're pulling masses off of this thing, we want to go to the nearest decimal point, the nearest tenth. So, you know, if I'm looking at magnesium says it's 24.305. I just call it 24.3. I wouldn't just call it 24. 24.3. Strontium is 87.62, so I'd call that 87.6, and just end at that first decimal point. Okay, so that's how we want to make sure that your numbers and my numbers are jiving up. So when I put like corrections and stuff online, you can see everything and get your numbers right. Okay, so let me take this down. All right, so hypothetically, I want to go from moles to grams. You remember what a mole is? A mole is kind of like a dozen. It's a counting unit. But instead of being 12 of something, it's this really big number, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, Avogadro's number. So it's going to be big. So our numbers here are going to be big. Don't worry about it. Hopefully you have a calculator at home that you can use. Remember, if you're using the iPhone, turn it sideways, and then you can use the double E button. Try not to use the times 10 caret thing. That'll totally screw you guys up, but you know, we'll see how you do. Okay, so if I want to go from moles to grams of something, all right, you're going to need the periodic table, and you're going to need to know the molar mass of something. So let's say I had 6 moles of oxygen, or let's do something more fun. Let's do oxygen. Let's do gold, because that's, you know, why not? So let's say it's 6 moles of gold. I have 6 moles of AU. So I got 6 moles of gold, and I want to know how many grams is that. All right. So I'm going to set up my bracket, and when I'm done, I'm going to have grams of gold. All right. So if remember, we have to do this divide and conquer kind of thing where we have to have. So if moles is in my numerator, then I got to put moles down here. So moles is going to go here. I want to end in grams. So whatever I'm ending in, that's what's going to be in the top in my numerator. So that's where my grams are going to go. Okay. So in 1 mole of gold, handy dandy, I got 196.96. So if I round that up, that 6 is going to make that 9 go up. So I'm going to call gold 197. All right. So 197 grams. So now all I have to do is just multiply these two numbers across. I have a calculator right here. So 197 really times 6. We're not using Avogadro's number yet because that's numbers. We don't want to, that's atoms. And we'll use that in a second here. So 6 times 197 gives you 1,182 grams. Okay. So to go from moles to grams, what we wind up doing, we multiply by molar mass, which is what this is. Because the molar mass is the mass of 1 mole, right? So we got that right off the periodic table. So if I need to multiply by the molar mass, that's how I go from moles to grams. If I want to go from grams to moles, then I would just flip that and I would divide. So let's just use the same number, but let's find a different amount of gold. So if I had, 550 grams of gold, 550 grams of AU. Okay, gonna set up a bracket. I want to end in moles of gold. Okay, so grams is in my numerator, so I got to put it in my denominator. I'm ending in moles, so that's what's got to go on top. And in 1 mole of gold, we know is 197 because we just got that off the periodic table. So 197 grams. Now all I do mathematically is I take 550 and I divide it by 197. My answer goes right there. Let me grab my calculator. What do I do with it? It's right here. Just like a typical day, I can't find my stuff in my own room. It feels so weird teaching in here without you guys in here. And writing on the board seems really foreign right now. All right, 550 divide 197 is, I got 2.79. So we're going to call that 2.79. If you call it 2.8, whatever. As long as we're setting things up right. And there you go, right? Because we got grams cancels grams. One's in the numerator, one's in the denominator, so they cancel out. I got moles left over. I've got moles left over, so 2.79 moles. So what did I wind up doing here? I divided by the molar mass. So to go from moles to grams, multiply by the molar mass. To go from grams to moles, divide by the molar mass. Again, molar mass, just got it right off the periodic table. Okay, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Trying to think how much time I'm gone here. I don't really know. So we'll just keep going. So that's the first one. All right. Second one we want to go is now moles to atoms and atoms to moles. So now I want to do that one. All right. See if you can remember how to do this. So I'm going to take this down. You can just check the recording later. It's the beauty of this. You can back it up. I'm tempted to leave a smudge on the board during this whole thing because I know some of you will go crazy if I don't erase something. So I might do that later just to drive you nuts. All right. So now second thing I would do is go moles to atoms. So we'll pick a new element. Let's pick calcium. Okay, so let's say I have 4.5 moles of calcium, and I want to know how many atoms that is. I don't need the periodic table anymore because the number of moles of anything is going to be Avogadro's number, which is going to be Avogadro's number 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms per mole. Okay, so that's the number we're going to use to solve all these problems. Okay, 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms in a mole. So if I have 4.5 moles of something, I just set up my bracket, same thing I did before. Okay, what are we trying to end in? We're going to try to end in atoms. So this is going to be atoms of calcium. So atoms of calcium. Now, let's see, moles is in the numerator, so moles goes in the denominator. I'm ending in atoms, so that goes in the numerator. And I know, based on Avogadro's number, 1 mole is 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd. Sorry. Now I just type that into the calculator, and this is where you guys got to make sure you know how to work your calculator so you can get the right answer. I'm using one of the schools, okay, which has this cool little times 10 button right here, so I can just use that. If you're using TI, whatever, you're gonna have to use that second feature to get to the double E button. You can get to the top. So I'm just gonna take 4.5 times 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd power, and this number's gonna be big. I mean, this number's already big, and you're taking 4.5 of those, so this thing is gonna be quite a big number. And I have 2.71 times 10 to the 24th power. So my answer was 2.7099. I rounded that up. So you can see I just did 4.5 times 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, and I got 2.7099 times 10 to the 24th. So what do? Multiply by Avogadro's number. So if we go from moles to atoms, we multiply by Avogadro's number. To go backwards, you just divide, right? So if I had 6, I'm not going to use a 6. Let's say 7.8 times 10 to the 15 atoms of calcium. Now I'm going to move that over. I'm getting too far in the middle of the board. I'm going to run out of room. Move that over. 7.8 times 10 to the 15th atoms calcium. Okay. Hang on 1 second. Let me pause this. All right, I'm back. All right, so setting this thing up, we got atoms here. We want to end in moles. So this is going to be moles of calcium. So atoms in the numerator, you know, we have 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms in 1 mole. So now just divide it. So type this in, 7.8 times 10 to the 15th power divided by 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd power. And I just shut my calculator off. Come on. 7.8 times 10, 15, divide 6.022 times 10, 23rd, enter. So 7.8 times 10 to the 15th power divided by 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd power gives me 1.295 blah, 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 blah to the minus 8. You see that? 1 point. So I'm going to round this up. I'm going to call this 1.3 times 10 to the negative 8. So this is going to be 1.3 times 10 to the minus And why is it minus 8? Well, you only had times 10 to the 15th atoms. You need to the 23rd power to get to a full mole. So imagine if I said you had 9 donuts. You don't even have a full dozen yet, do you? So your portion would be less than a dozen. All right. So that's how to go from moles to atoms, how to go from atoms to moles. So we either multiply by Avogadro's number or we divide by Avogadro's number. Those two things. All right. The last thing I want to show you is to go from grams to moles to atoms. So now instead of having one bracket, you're just going to have 2. And you're just going to put them together. Right? And you can do everything right in your calculator. So I'm going to keep that up there because we might need that. Take this down. All right. We'll start in moles, or no, we'll start in grams and we'll go to atoms. So if I had, let's say I had 45 grams of carbon. How many atoms is that? All right. So I have 45 grams of carbon. That's where I'm starting. And I want to know how many atoms that actually is. So first thing you got to do, from Michigan, you got to go to Ohio. Then from Ohio, you can go to Kentucky. So I got to go from grams to moles first. So I'm going to do a bracket. And then once I go from Michigan to Ohio, I'm going to go from Ohio to Kentucky. So then I'll have another bracket. When I'm done, we're trying to figure out is the number of atoms of carbon. That's the goal. Okay. So start slowly over here. I've got grams in the numerator, so grams in the denominator down here. And 1 mole, I need to know what is the molar mass of carbon. So I go to the periodic table of the elements. Carbon, there you are. Okay. Carbon is 12.011. So we're going to the nearest decimal, 1 decimal point, that's just going to be 12. So if I were to stop right there, if I take 45 divided by 12, I would have moles of carbon. I don't want to be in moles of carbon, I want to know atoms of carbon. So I also know that in 1 mole of anything, we have 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of the stuff. Okay, so that means grams is going to cancel grams, moles is going to cancel moles. The only thing left I have is atoms. So grab your handy dandy calculator, right? And you start plugging and chugging. So you go 45 divided by 12. Okay. 45 divided by 12. Okay, so you get like 3.75, right? Now I want to take that answer and I want to just multiply it by Avogadro's number. So that answer times 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd, right? So I just took the answer from before, multiplied by Avogadro's number, and you can see I have, God, that's really clear. There, 2.25825 times 10 to the 24th. So we're just going to call that, let's just say 2.3 times 10 to the 24th. So 2.3 times 10 to the 24th atoms of carbon. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, that's moved this decimal point 24 times this way. That tells you how many you got. It's like the number of days in lockdown. Okay, this is like the number of days that we've missed school and stuff. To do the opposite is literally to do the opposite. You just flip all your brackets upside down and do the process in reverse. So if I had 3.4 times 10 to the 30th atoms of, I don't know, sulfur. Just picking a new atom. You know what, let's stay with carbon since it's 12. You can just see that the process is the same. So let's say we're just doing carbon. I would set up 2 brackets. And I'm going to end in grams of carbon. I want to know how much this stuff weighs. So atoms here, atoms down there, 6.022 exponent 23 atoms in 1 mole. Moles need to cancel moles, so I put them diagonal. Up here is going to be the molar mass of carbon, which we already know is 12. We already looked it up. So 12 grams. And now you grab the calculator. Right. 3.4 times 10 to the 30th divided by 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd is quite a big number, which it should be. And then times 12 is going to be, if I round that, well, I'm just going to put this whole thing down there because those are all valuable. 6, 7, 7, 5, 1, 5, 7, 7. Right? 67,751,577 grams of the stuff. That's quite a big number, but you have more than a mole of atoms, so you got a lot more. So don't be afraid of that number either. Okay. So again, what did I do? Divided by Avogadro's number, multiply by the molar mass. Here, I divided by the molar mass and I multiply by Avogadro. So you just have to learn how to flip those two. Like I said, I'll be sending you guys a flow chart to help you guys just figure this stuff out. Okay. That's kind of the first little lesson here I want to do. And hopefully you can get this and it works for you. Talk to you guys very soon.